Hello, everybody.
Welcome to Almost 30 Podcast. I am very grateful to see you today. I'm grateful to be with you.
Super grateful. I've pumped up the heat, and I'm regretting
We're
it
cranking.
right now.
It's good. I need it. I'm freezing. I'm freezing in my bones.
I've been so cold lately, and I'm like, is this the new me? You
I
know those
am I
people
cold?
that grew up in your... They're just like, I'm so cold.
I'm cold. Totally.
I'm like, I'm
you're
that
too
person
skinny.
now.
I'm like, gain some weight. My God, before this, I paid $300 in parking tickets.
Wait, that's so weird. I just paid mine too.
How
Not
many?
$300.
I know. You have to have an abundance mindset to pay $300.
I literally thought
Maybe
about
you'll work into that.
$70.
Wow.
Because it was like the first round of like, I paid it right away.
Yeah. I'm grateful though. You know, I want to do that. I want to circulate more into the universe.
I was approaching the guy that was giving me the ticket for the meter, and I was coming out of Erewhon, and
You're like,
I haven't been paying meters because no one's been checking them. And I had a thought before I went in the store. I was like, oh, should I pay the meter? And then I was like, no, I'll just be 10 minutes. And he was doing it as I came out, and I just kind of like, I was like, hey, I'm coming, as I was approaching him, and he's like, I just pressed the button. I was like, it's all right. I was like, you're doing your job, and I was like, I should have paid the meter.
And he just gave it to you?
Yeah, but it was like, I was like, hey, man,
Totally.
I literally have escaped probably 70 meter tickets over COVID. I haven't paid meters.
I know, I haven't been paying them either, but I've been getting them.
Oh, okay.
I know, it's so weird. $300. I was like, wow, circulate that money back to God knows where.
How many of them?
3, 4.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. One at a park. This is kind of fucked up. I kept going to this park, and they were like, yeah, just use the app and pay. And I was like, totally, I've got the app. I'm just paying on the app.
Dude, you're such a rebel. It's hilarious.
I'm such a rebel. That was like out of character. And I literally got the ticket. I was like, you're right. I was dishonest. Because, well, the first times they would say like, hey, do you have the app? And I'd be like, and I wouldn't say anything, but I'd nod and be like, mm-hmm.
Wait, where is this? Like, where you're at a park? Okay, you're in Laguna at a park, and they're like, hey,
they have you pay for the parking on the app.
Got it. Okay.
And so I just nodded and go, mm-hmm. And then the second one I go, mm-hmm. And the third one I go, hey, I have the app. I just pay on the app. And the lady it was funny because the lady looked at me kind of weird, like I was like on a hit list because I'd been doing it for 3 days in a row, and then she gave me the ticket.
For sure.
So I deserved it. And it went back to the parks.
That's good.
I learned. I was like, oh, this is my nation's park donation.
That is sweet.
I know.
That is sweet.
But the rest of it's bullshit.
I don't know. But I don't know what's been happening during COVID. I'm like,
I don't think they're doing,
chilling.
I don't know, man.
I kind of felt bad. Like, I got to a point where I was like, oh, I hope they're working on something else.
Yeah.
You
Maybe
know,
they're off work.
Well, that's what I was worried about. I didn't want them to, like, not have a job.
I know.
I don't know.
Well, you better start paying your meters.
I'm paying my meters, everybody. Update on me. Dude, we were just laughing earlier. You'll hear this episode, but Justin joined us for an episode.
Oh my God, you guys.
He freaking walked into it was so sweet.
Justin's who's my fiance.
Yes. And I guess he had lost his keys.
Just so you guys can like clarify the relationship's like really, really serious. And like if you're not a fiance person, like you can be one day. So I just want to be inspiring for you guys. That one day you could have a fiance too.
Once boyfriend, now fiance. And he lost his keys, so he was coming over to grab keys or whatever. And we sat down and had a conversation on the pod, and
it was wild.
The life that was injected into this studio was so fun.
You guys, it was wild. Justin's like a very reserved person. He's very quiet. He's like bashful at times. Like he's like he's just he's like very,
it's endearing very much.
Of course, it's very sweet, and I love that. Like I just love that about him. He's very thoughtful and kind and sweet and all these things. And so usually if I was, this is the whole thing. This is the whole damn thing. If I was like, hey, come on the podcast today, he'd be like, P, no, I don't want to come on. No. And like if ever I'm like, hey, come on my story, he's like, no, I don't want to be on your story. And then he'll fix his hair for 12 minutes and put a hat on. Then be like, okay, I can be on your story. And I'm like, okay, the time is over and now it seems fake. So I don't want it anymore. If it's fake, I don't want it. And so when he came, was like, yeah, I'll be on. Can I record with you guys? Or did he say that? I don't know how the fuck it happened.
He just like walked into the studio. He's like,
you record?
Oh, cool. You recording? And I was like, sit down. And he's like, okay. And then I put a mic in front of him, and I mean, that was history. We just
and it was so hilarious too, because it's like didn't understand full etiquette of like. So we had our conversation with Justin, which you guys will hear, and then we transitioned to like our announcements. You know, what we do is usually conversation announcements, and then we kind of roll into the show,
which you'll hear today.
Yes, exactly. So fair warning, announcements are coming. And surprise, surprise, we have announcements. So we started to talk about our announcements. We're like, hey, we have this amazing breathwork workshop, which we do have an amazing breathwork workshop coming up. And he's like, breathing is good. Breathing is good. And I was like, that is. And I was like, okay. And then when we went, we're like, okay, and now we're really excited about, you know, this interview we have coming up. And he's like, well, so you guys, what's one thing that you guys have wanted to talk about on the podcast, but you haven't yet? And I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh my gosh, where are we going to go with this? Because I'm like, me and him could go all over the place. So I'm like, what are we going? And then I don't even know what we said.
I don't remember that question. What did I say?
Who knows? I was just confused. I was kind of trying to think of where he's going. So I was like, there's a lot, I guess. And he's like, well, you know, I've been wanting to talk about, what was it?
Oh.
There was some like quantum physics video he watched last night or something.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't even know. You guys, we don't even know. We'll forget it. But it was like riffing and rambling. And it was so... my face, honestly, I was like in a state of shock.
I was trying so hard not to laugh. Like, we were laughing.
We were laughing.
I was trying not to laugh at him. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because I didn't want to, but I was just like, this is hilarious. I was almost like an outsider where I was like, this is hilarious.
Because you saw me being like...
Yes, I saw you. Yeah.
Being kind of controlling and like, what's going on here? And we're on a time crunch.
She's literally texting me during it being like, you can cut that last part.
Yeah, literally the last part I was like, just cut that. Like it was kind of whatever, but oh my God, it was
very sweet.
It was so fucking hilarious. I was like, what? Because sometimes he's like, let's start a YouTube channel. I'm like, okay, what's it about? And he's like, you know, we could like figure it out. Like we could do like trivia. We could do.
I mean, that is your hell
snacks.
not to have a plan.
Honestly, I was like, okay, dude. And it's my hell to like drag him around to do freaking YouTube all day. To be like, hey, you ready to record? Be like, yeah. Give me 20 minutes and be ready in like 4 hours.
It's just cats. That's it. That's the YouTube channel.
That's our YouTube channel's cats.
For sure.
Literally.
Easy.
It's disgusting. I texted my family. I was like, they're like, are you coming home for Christmas? I was like, I don't think so. I've got baby kittens now. And my sister's like, aren't they like 8 months old? I was like, no, they're actually baby kittens, and I bottle feed them.
Can you bring cat? You don't want to bring them on a plane.
No, that's weird. No, it's not weird, but
yeah.
So I mean, can you imagine, dude, being on a plane, meow, meow, meow,
Yeah,
and
totally.
they're just terrified.
Yeah, I'm actually, I get weirded out with animals on planes. I don't mind it, but I just actually feel, I'm like, what is the animal feeling?
I know, something with the air pressure, I bet, is really just...
And just the noise.
Yeah, I know.
It's loud as shit.
But, you know, you got to do what you got to do, but I'm not bringing my
it.
cats to Ohio for 5 days. That would truly be like therapy animals. They honestly would have the little red vests around their chests, and they'd be like, these are my anxiety animals. And they'd
You'd
be
have
like
them wrapped around your neck.
They'd be like running in circles. They're like on top of everything, like going crazy.
It's like Ruth from Love on the Spectrum with her snake.
Oh my
She brings
gosh,
it there
yes.
everywhere. That'll be your kitties.
That will be the best. If you guys have
Holy
watched Love
moly.
on the Spectrum, if you have not, you need to watch it.
I watched it for the whole season for a second time, and it was even better.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
watched
good
it
one.
with
I'm
Dylan.
going to.
Dylan loved it, and I was like, "Oh, this is the vibe right now."
Yes.
Very just like positive, feel good. Also, just like human.
Yes,
Humans.
totally.
I'm like, I just want, yeah. It
And
was
just gives you different
beautiful.
perspective.
100%.
It's beautiful. I tried to watch The Departed, which is like a famous,
Which is not Love on the Spectrum.
which is not Love on the Spectrum. Have you seen it?
It's
It's like Jack Nicklaus, Leo DiCaprio.
Nope.
I was like, okay, like I was trying to be like a normal person on Earth. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
let's watch a classic movie. Leonardo DiCaprio, big star, big names, big budget.
5-hour movie.
Literally, I'm like, let's do this. And then after like 15 minutes, I was like, why does he have someone's hand cut off another person's body in his hand in this like, it was just so weird. I was like, why are they beating each other up?
Mm-hmm.
They were saying crazy language.
Yeah.
I'm not a language snob, but like what they were saying was really crazy.
Inappropriate.
Inappropriate.
Yeah.
I like freaked out. I was like, to Justin, I was like, I can't do this. I'm done watching this movie. He's like, do what I do. This is what you do when you watch movies. You tell yourself that they're fake when you're watching it so that you can watch them beat each other up.
Is that what you do?
Because you know it's fake.
Justin?
I was like, is that what you do? And I was like, okay, I'm not doing that because the whole movie is the point for me to like not sit there and be like, this is fake. He's like, it's okay, Pete. It's fake. I'm like, thanks, Dad. I know it's fake, but it's still gross.
Yes. It's hard. That's one of the things about a relationship. It's like things that you want to do together, but because you just don't want to watch the same things.
Jenna
I mean,
Zoe
you guys
was
watch
talking
the same
about
things
that.
a lot, but it's kind of hard.
Yeah, Jenna Zoe was talking about that. She's like, I don't want to watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, and Phil loves to chill and watch TV. And Justin's the same, like could chill and do that all day. We tried to watch South Park the other day. It was so weird at my house. Literally, we're watching weird. It's so weird. We're trying to catch our correct wave, and it is like, what the fuck?
Just off.
Literally, I'm in 8th grade again watching South Park. We tried. It wasn't really happening.
By the way, everyone, maybe I could insert this at the beginning of the episode. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy tea give. Oh, bless. I hope you guys are.
We record this a little bit in advance.
Bless.
We'll
Blessings and tidings to you and your family.
Truly.
One for all.
But I imagine most of y'all are going to listen to this not on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, not on tea give. But hey, for our
maybe.
Loyals
We
that
love
are
you.
sitting at the Thanksgiving table with AirPods in. Mad love.
Mad love. But today is actually a perfect episode for Thanksgiving if you
Yes.
want to do an Ayurvedic Thanksgiving.
Yes. Actually, this episode with Gunny is incredible. He is like so charismatic and cool and clear. And I feel like I learned so much about how to take care of myself from an Ayurvedic perspective, but more so just from a natural, holistic perspective. And talking about the ways in which he's really helped himself heal naturally from anxiety and trauma was really, really powerful and beautiful. And I really love, too, that when we talked about herbs, which is how he pronounces it, and I'm trying to do it too, herbs, when we talked about herbs, we were like very prescriptive with things. So I think that this episode is not only really helpful, but I think people will feel really good about like next steps if they were interested in exploring Ayurvedic herbs and ways in which they can help cure anxiety.
Definitely. And we've done episodes on Ayurveda before, but again, this just was really beautiful to bring in that personal piece. He lost his brother in a tragic accident, and that was, the just started this spiral of anxiety, panic attacks, and because of everything that's going on now, too, I can imagine that a lot of you are just feeling kind of lost in that area and feeling so, overwhelmed by anxiety. And so there are lifestyle changes, nutrition changes, and other, things that you can do that live under the Ayurvedic umbrella that you can modify to feel so much better. So we talk about the doshas too. We review that, which is always good to review. I feel like I'm changing my dosha all the time. I don't really know what I am.
My weight.
It literally just depends. But Gunny started Ayurveda. So Ayurveda has been a partner of ours for a while now, and we just love them so, so much. They have Ayurvedic supplement kits and essential oils.
Their mood pills,
it's a
freaking work.
So good.
Dude, I used to bring their mood pills when we were traveling all the time, and it changed my life. I was like, yo, I can now do this.
And they also have mood, body, immunity, digestion. They have a packet for your joints, and all of this is just using these really powerful herbs. So we love this brand. Thank you, Gunny. You're amazing. Love talking. I was like, can we come over?
I know.
He's like, I'm in Dallas. I'm like,
yeah, this is just
we'll
like
visit.
a really enjoyable conversation, and I'm excited.
Yeah, and anyone who is wanting more support during this season and headed into 2021, we have all of our new Paradigm workshops in the shop right now. They're available for you to purchase. We had them live this fall, and now, you can get a workshop on sex and intimacy and relationships with Dr. Holly and Shanae Alexander. We have a workshop with Ngozi. She is a beautiful poet and life coach, and she did a poetic medicine workshop. We had a breathwork workshop with Jenna Reese, which was so powerful. So it runs the gamut, and we got you. So you can go to shopalmost30.com.
Yeah, we got some goods in there. And then on all the socials, Almost 30 podcast. You can find us on YouTube. We're doing video, so you can see our faces if you would like. And all of that. And we're really looking forward to 2021 with y'all. We have really exciting things coming. We're going to be doing a membership. So we would love all of your input and insight. We want to make this membership together with you in mind. So always keep us open and posted with feedback on what you guys are looking for there.
We love you so much. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, see you soon.
Very nice to see you both.
I know.
So great to see you as well.
Our team says amazing things about you. So
Truly.
Oh, well, thank you. They say amazing things about you guys too. So it's
they're
like-mindedness
paid to.
attracting.
yeah, they're paid
Yeah.
to.
Well, I paid them too, so you guys don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
I slipped a what is it? A Zell 100 on there. So
There you go.
yeah.
Perfect. We got it. Where are you calling in from? Where do you live?
Dallas.
Oh.
Believe it or not, I'm actually outside. It's like 97, but I was like, I gotta step outside. The AC, I've been in the AC all day. I can't stand that.
I just
So-
I feel you.
Yeah, if you see me during the interview about to pass out, just like yell or something.
We'll call support. How long have you been in Texas?
2 years now. Not too long. I was a West Coaster. I was in Seattle, but then you don't see the yellow thing in the sky forever in Seattle. So
Yes.
I was like, let's go somewhere sunnier. And you guys are in Los Angeles, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we're in LA.
Yep.
Is
But,
it? Sorry, go ahead, please.
I was gonna say everyone's moving to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was gonna say. Krista and Lindsey, are you guys busting the trip too? I mean, it seems like everybody's talking about, like, I saw this thing on Joe Rogan. He's like, everyone's leaving. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going too. So
Yeah, that's a topic of conversation over
Yeah.
here
really?
for sure.
Yeah, I was just talking to my friend lives in Austin today about
Oh my God, that place is
Austin real
awesome.
estate and everything like that, and what it's like, and so it does feel like the energy is kind of, for me personally, it feels kind of weird here.
Guess what? An $800,000
I mean,
house
say no
can
more.
get you here. Just
5 bedroom, 4 bath. But you know what I will say though, in Dallas, I love Dallas, but I do feel like Dallas prioritizes things. I felt like it was like bigger, better. Like people love their big houses. They love their big car. They love their nice cars.
Oh, did you freeze? Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we
okay.
oh, there we go. Okay. Was the question so absurd, huh? You guys just like, we're leaving.
no, I was like, maybe I'm saying something judgmental that needs to not go through. To be honest, I got cut. I got intercepted.
Well, you guys get like a closet over there for that much, right? Is what I heard.
Yeah.
Honestly, we were like, if we were even to get something normal, it'd be 1.5 to start, and like,
Wow.
yeah, and so it's just crazy. I think about, this is like me being whatever, but my parents' first house, 250, 300, whatever.
Yeah.
And us to start at 1.5,
I know.
you'd have to be.
Makes me want to barf.
And
yeah.
and what are we talking about in bedrooms? Like 3 bedrooms
No,
or
even apartment.
Really?
I
Yes.
live in a neighborhood and I Redfin all the time as I walk.
Yeah.
2 bedroom, 2 bath, starting at like 1.5, 1.7.
Krista, Lindsey, you guys need to realize that is absurd.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
That is
Thank you for
absurd.
the
I mean,
reminder.
I
truly act. No, for real. Because
I
think
love Cali. I love Cali, but I love to visit. I have tons of family there. I'm Indian. Shoot, the Catella Avenue by Anaheim, it's all owned by Indians. Those hotels, they're all my peeps. And some of those guys are just like, man, like we get burned here. It is a beautiful place because you can't get, I don't know if there's any other place that has all that diverse mother nature.
Yeah.
That, it's like Seattle, but Seattle doesn't really have the beaches. I mean, and Colorado doesn't have the beaches, and certain parts of Texas, the coastline that's not a beach. Don't even try to tell me that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's like, getting older, you're like, okay, what do I want now? And it's just weird. I feel like I'm having every thought that people have, but I thought I wouldn't have.
I
I'm
know.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, when I was younger, I'm like, why would you move to the suburbs? Like, what the
yeah,
heck?
yeah.
Like, that's so lame. I want to be in the city forever. And then you're like, okay, wow, I would love that.
Well, what's interesting is now that I visit Seattle, going back, Seattle's prices of real estate have skyrocketed too. Like let me be clear about that, because Amazon and all these other companies, the homeless population is gone insane, and they have no solution. None at all. And every time I go back, my parents live in the suburbs too, so they're kind of away from that. But you know, when you drive by and you visit some of your old friends, or you go to some of the old spots where you used to hang out or eat, you know, and you're like, there's like 7 tents 10 feet away from me. Like it's you're like, wow.
Yeah, LA's getting pretty bad in that way too.
That's what I heard.
Really
that's
bad.
what I heard. Yeah.
And that's what's hard too, is, you know, being a part of like the income disparity. So it's like, okay, so we're talking about maybe doing a 1.5 million, very much a stretch, but then you're around tents, and it's not even like that's shameful, but it's like, how do you live when you know that you have done this, and then there's people around you that need so much?
Correct.
Yeah, it's a lot. So we'll see you in Dallas next year.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, move to Texas.
Yes, Texas it is.
Oh man. Well, we're so excited to chat with you.
Thank you guys.
Truly.
My pleasure. Yeah, it's just awesome to see you guys. Like, I mean, I'm a fan.
We feel the same way. We feel the same way. And we just start rolling, and it's very conversational.
Sure.
But yeah, I think, you know, from very early on in our podcasting journey and conversations we were having, Ayurveda was one that came up as just people being curious about, just as they explore, you know, a more holistic health approach. I'd love to just start with your story. I love your story and know it because I know the brand, but I'd love to share it with our audience.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, thank you guys so much for having me on. You know, I'm really honored. Your guys' podcast does so many amazing things, and especially right now, I think it helps people just connect. And you guys have the diversity of topics, but what I love about you guys is you guys keep it real, and I think that's a connection. I mean, a lot of people are not able to connect like that, so I want to thank you guys for that. So my story, I mean, I grew up in a household where my father and his brothers they moved here with Ayurvedic degrees. Okay, they had proper Ayurvedic degrees in India, but over here, Ayurveda is not a licensed form of medicine. You can be an Ayurvedic practitioner, but it's not treated as an official degree certified form where even insurance will accept it. So you're kind of just like, you're in practitioner, which is in the realm of like, you know, some certain health coaches and other things like that. So you are a practitioner, but not an official licensed one. Okay. A lot of things are happening to change that up. But my dad recognized that, and he even came here, and he got some flack for it too. People, even in his community, were like, no one's going to take you seriously. Like, what is that voodoo stuff? Go get a degree. And he's like, well, I don't really like the medical system here. And so he kept on searching and searching. And back in the day, they didn't have Google. So he opened up good old Yellow Pages, and he found a school by the name of Bastyr. Bastyr was one of the first naturopathic schools. And he's like, oh my God, this is interesting. And it resonates. And he's like, he connected the dots. So he got his naturopathic degree because it connected so much to Ayurveda. And then he was able to use the foundation of Ayurveda and add naturopathy on top of it. So how does it connect to meat? Well, I mean, I grew up in that whole realm where we would eat the food that was cooked in front of us. Yoga was introduced to me at like age 4. Meditation, whether I knew what the heck I was doing at that age or not, was there. You know, sit cross-eyed, do this, visualize. I still remember a very interesting story, Lindsey and Krista. One day, I just couldn't fall asleep. I was 9 years old or something like that. I was like, Dad, my mind is just racing. What should I do? Usually, you know, maybe people would be like, hey, just... I'm a father now. Just tell me, like, just go to sleep. What do you mean? Just close your eyes and do it. But he told me, he goes, close your eyes and just recite Om over and over again. Visualize it in your head and recite Om, Om, Om. What's crazy is, to this day, I was 8 years old. To this day, that was the most peaceful sleep I have ever gotten. I'm not saying I don't sleep well. I do, but it's just interesting. And so, you know, I would be the kid who'd bring his lunch, and it would be of Indian stuff, and other kids would look at me and be like, what the heck is that? Sometimes they wouldn't like the smell or anything like that. But I grew up in this. I mean, I was deep in it. My dad would make tinctures. I would see him treating people at his clinic, and people would come in with like a loss of hope, but would consult with him, and the Ayurvedic consultation would be very deep and very precise, and would leave like with a relief that, hey, somebody actually asked me what my emotional state was, like what my relationship was. They didn't just prescribe something, spent 10 minutes. No, it was a full hour. And they would feel relieved just being heard. And so I saw that.
Wow.
But it wouldn't be until 2006 where I would really connect the dots when, as I've shared with you guys before, in 2006, I had a very tragic thing happen. My younger brother, he passed in a car accident at the age of 16. I mean, I was literally talking to him probably about 15 to 20 minutes before it happened. I mean, just normal kid. I was 21, he was 16. We had a 5-year gap. Just normal stuff like what we're thinking. Hey, what are you doing? I was in college. Are you going to come over, stay with us? Make sure you tell mom and dad this time. Otherwise, they're going to get upset at you. Just tell them you're spending the night and where are we going out and are you bringing stuff? So all that stuff. And then, within 20 minutes, our whole life had changed. His friend called me hyperventilating. Long story short, he told me he's been in a car accident. I tried to call his phone, nothing, couldn't reach him. We went to the scene of the accident. His car is there. Firefighters tell us to turn back and you can't come here. I'm like, but I'm the brother. Where do I go? Like, what do we do? He's like, go to the hospital. And I'm like, is he okay? Is he okay? Is he okay? And I look back and I really want to give it to them because I think they're so good at handling it. I mean, they didn't tell you really anything to get your false hopes up. And at the same time, also just their composure, they're like, hey, please just, we advise you go to the hospital. And obviously you get there and you have this sinking feeling in your gut and you just know. And, that set me up to experience something that is a complete reverse of the natural process if you guys think about it, okay? Somebody told me this and it was really interesting. They're like, we're not programmed to have the youngest member of our family pass first. It's grandparents, then the parents, then you go, and then eventually. He goes, when things turn around, there's nothing out there that can prepare you for it. You could read all the books, you could do that. When you experience it, it is different because it's different per person of how you react emotionally and how you were supposed to react. None of us are really taught how to properly grieve. And I think that's one of the things I wish I had listened and paid more attention to what my dad was teaching because Ayurveda goes over this. I kind of spent early years really into Ayurveda, and then in my teen years, we all rebel and everything, kind of went away from it and then eventually came back. So what happened was when all that stuff is happening, I turned into a zombie. I didn't know anything. I heard this advice, well-intentioned advice. How I interpreted was my fault. Somebody said that, hey, be strong for your parents, okay? I took that to mean that Lindsey and Krista, I cannot show any emotions. Yeah. I got to be a stick. I can't cry. My mom is going crazy. She's passed out so many times, just overwhelmed. And my dad is also, he's expressing too, as he should. Everybody else is expressing. My best friends are bawling and I'm there just still. And I'm like, I look back, I'm like, I should have been doing that, And I will tell your audience right now, before I usually go a little bit further, but I'll tell your audience right now, you guys, the grieving process and why we cry because sometimes the emotions are too much to be expressed and the body only has one thing to do and cry. The expression of crying is also letting it go, okay? I'm not saying it's all going to drain out, but the letting go is sometimes the emotional intelligence of the body just being, hey, look, I can't hold on to it more, or I can't feel it anymore. It's just too much. Let me just cry. The strength comes in actually feeling the emotion. But what I did was I just depleted it. And emotion, energy in motion has to be either felt, expressed. It's energy is neither created or destroyed. It's just moved, right? So when I didn't do that, it just manifested in my body and it manifested horribly into deep depression, anxiety, PTSD. 6 months later, when I was ready to move on, when I was ready to kind of be like, okay, let's do this. Come on, my brother had a lot of goals. I want to help him accomplish it. I just went flat on my face. I mean, just horrible. And those days were just, I don't wish those upon anybody. Luckily, this is when my story connects. My dad came back in my life again, and he's like, man, like, I know what's going on with you, but I was afraid if I told you, you wouldn't be ready for the help. I'm glad you're coming to me because I know that means you actually want the help. And it's a big difference, as maybe you guys have experienced too, when you try to help somebody rather than when they actually want the help. Because when I wanted, I was all in. And he told me certain things. I did a specific routine for my anxiety. It's called the Linden method. I followed that structure, but then I also incorporated Ayurvedic herbs. I started learning how to actually feel my emotions. My dad taught me that through yoga. We changed up my diet dramatically. I started spending more time in with my family. I started getting more involved in getting my attention away from how I felt and into the creativity. See, one of the most important and powerful things is when you're in that state and you're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. That is motivation A, but motivation B should be, what can I go out and create in this world? Find the passion. It was when all those things connected that within 30 to 45 days, it's completely gone. And I thank Ayurveda for that. I thank my dad. I thank the Linden method, of course. But it was all those things that paired together. And for people listening, it sounds like a lot, but it's not. It was just simple behavioral changes, simple things that anyone can do. And honestly, I don't want to make it, I gotta have a checklist of this. No, it's simple things that are counterintuitive to what the mind wants to do, to what you need to do. Because deep down inside, as humans, we are meant to continue to move on, okay? When we get stuck is when the resistance comes. And I don't care anybody that wants to argue with that. Come to me and we'll have that argument. But you are meant to move on. The homeostasis balance in your body is meant to continue to take you into balance. When you're off that balance, tell me how comfortable it is. And how long can you keep on getting uncomfortable? And then tell me if you want to move on or not. So that's what I experienced. And that's why we created Ayurveda, is to at least help people experience that, because there's so many others that are probably suffering. And that's kind of been my mission. And I feel grateful that I went through that. And just to be able to share that with people.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I just want to pause for one moment. There's a little bit of background noise and I don't want to sabotage. I think it might be wind. I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Let me make sure. Yeah.
It's like every once in a while, it kind of comes in. But yeah, I just wanted to call that out in case we get into like into the interview, and I don't want to sacrifice the sound.
Sure. Is it better now, or is it okay?
It happens every once in a while when wind gusts.
Yeah, or I don't know if it. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. So I'll ping you on the chat if it gets a little crazy, but we'll pick up.
Okay.
That is such a powerful story, and on the other side you realize why it happened, and it's so beautiful too that your dad waited till you came to him. That's like very next level, like mental Jedi.
He could see that I was suffering. I mean, he was like, it was tough because you're my son, but I knew you weren't going to be receptive to it unless you came. And yeah, I'm so glad I did.
I mean, yeah, because usually with parents, it's like, they know that, but then they just go above that and just really want to be in it. And it's just so powerful that it worked out that way. I wanted to ask about the Linden method. So that's for anxiety reducing and PTSD?
Yes, that's exactly what it's for. It was developed by a man named Charles Linden, and it's a structure that you follow. And I would highly recommend you guys, I'm very good friends with him. I would highly recommend you guys have him on, because the man, I would label him as probably the world's leading expert on anxiety. I mean, hands down. I've never met somebody with more knowledge. My dad can vouch that too, just based on the stuff. Yeah. So it's the structure that helped me get rid of the anxiety, and then the Ayurvedic herbs and the Ayurvedic stuff put me back into that true balance. Right. And everything just from there has been wonderful. Yeah.
Can you go into what's involved in the structure?
Yeah. So basically what he says is there's 9 or 10 pillars that you follow. And those pillars are made up of certain behaviors that a lot of people that come into the anxiety pattern that they keep on doing. So for example, one of the things is, and I probably don't want to go into all of it because I know some of the stuff he probably wants to share as well. But one of the things is, a lot of people that are on the anxiety pattern, they keep on researching. What can I do to get better? What can I do to get better? What can I do to get better? And that simple behavior is pro-anxiety. It's not against it. When you shift that mindset, your mind begins to behave differently. And you basically, it's you take this and you bring the anxiety out. It's a very structured process, but it's so simple, and it really helps people. I mean, it helped me. I mean, as soon as that was there, I was like, okay, how do I put my rest of my body back in balance? Okay, the herbs, the Ayurvedic lifestyle, the other things, and so that's that. It was a perfect pattern.
Yeah, you could see with that kind of thing, it's like reinforcing the belief that you're not okay. So it's like,
Yes.
and it's also to like avoidance of feeling when you're doing something like that. You know, you're not actually exploring the actual reasons. You're sort of trying to ask others what your potential reasons could be. So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
You hit it right on the head. And that's what happens to people that are in that pattern. They always think something's wrong.
Yeah.
Reality is nothing is wrong with you, but your subconscious has that belief that something is wrong, and his method helps people get out of that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and if I tell you how quickly it works, like he's told me he's had people that have had OCD for 25 years. They do it, and he's helped people within hours.
Wow.
Within hours. So, I mean, definitely one person I would highly recommend. I think you guys should have on. He's genius. I mean, I love him. I'm super grateful. But then, you know, that's for anxiety and PTSD. And then, of course, the Ayurvedic philosophy constantly believes in just balance, you know, and then you got to be. My diet was also super critical. I wasn't eating right. And with the Ayurvedic diet that was specifically for me, really, you know, there's a second gut in the there's a second mind in the gut, and that was super critical for me to continue to support that balance. Because no matter what, you could do that, and I could end up right back because if I didn't change my other stuff, you know, it all goes hand in hand, which is why Ayurveda is so amazing, because it looks into every facet. And I think you guys have also asked for you know, the 8 different components. And if you think about it, 5,000 years ago, guys, they were thinking about this. I mean, how I was talking to my wife, and I was like, you know what, I really want to prepare and make sure I know everything. And I was doing some extra research, and I was like, I'm blown away at the facets of the different types of medicine and the different subsects that they had 5,000 years ago. I mean,
yeah,
truly, it's actually so interesting to go that far back and understand that like the foundational principles have always been there, and then as we layer on pharmaceuticals and power and money and all of this stuff, it just kind of, so much of it gets lost. But I'd love to know specifically, before we pull up and talk about, you know, the branches of Ayurveda, what specifically you were eating and the herbs you were taking for your anxiety and PTSD.
Absolutely. So I was put on ashwagandha. A very specific dose that was for me was kind of higher because just I needed it. Ashwagandha is an adaptogen. Okay, for people that maybe are familiar or not familiar, the adaptogenic herbs, and there's many of them, not just ashwagandha, act to work with your body's environmental stress, and specifically ashwagandha acts with the cortisol level. Okay, your cortisol is supposed to be the highest in the morning. Why? Because, well, let's get going. Sun rises, let's go, let's do our thing. And it's supposed to level off in the evening. Because again, why? Because it's how the rhythmic clock. I mean, you're working with the Mother Nature. You're supposed to go back and get ready for bed, get ready for sleep, rejuvenate the body, and it's supposed to work in harmony. Again, okay, balance. But when things like this happen, extra stress happens, that thing gets thrown totally off. So your cortisol can remain high, which is not good, which means high stress, adrenal fatigue, brain fog, all that. So ashwagandha goes into the body, recognizes that, and it says, hey, hold on, guys, like you're off whack. And it adapts the body to bring it back into balance. Now, how does it work in reverse? Let's say your cortisol is just so low, right? I mean, it's the opposite too, right? You could be just adrenally not only fatigued, but it could be the opposite of that as well. And at the end of the day, it recognizes that and it brings it back up into balance. So it's a very intelligent herb. You'll also see ashwagandha paired up with a lot of popular products just because it's called the intelligent herb. It's super intelligent. It supports a lot of other things. And in Ayurveda, it's also, I mean, it's, I guess one of the nicknames, it's like it's a strength of like 1,000 horses. It's a powerful herb.
Wow. Yeah. It's something that we now are privy to. And I know for me, you know, with my anxiety and depression, taking mood has been like a game changer. It's like, I actually truly can tell when I take it and when I don't. My mood is actually truly better. And it was so key when we were on tour, the past 2 years, like, because we'd be traveling and we're meeting tons of people and we're doing all these things. And I like needed it. And
Yeah.
Understanding the herbs in there was like also really helpful for me. So I would love to break down what is in mood and just some of the other herbs besides ashwagandha that people can think about taking for like better mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with mood, whenever we create a formula, guys, it's really important for us to honor the principles of Ayurveda. And principles of Ayurveda is that individually things work really well. But when you combine it in an intelligent way, especially herbs, because they're super intelligent, plants have an intelligence on their own that a lot of times we sometimes even overlook. That's why our doctors, my father is one, and then we also have a resident doctor, they like to make proprietary blends that complement each other, okay? Ashwagandha is in there, but so is saffron. Now, you guys have all experienced saffron because maybe you've gone out and people have sprinkled saffron on. What is saffron's purpose? The aroma itself is supposed to enlighten your mood. Okay, saffron has been known for centuries to be an amazing mood enhancer. Okay, so saffron is also in there, and that helps you kind of start to begin to elevate your mood. Okay, a positive side effect, I guess, is it's also a good sexual tonic. I mean, it also helps with that as well. So that's also a very good positive especially for people in that stage, because that also, sometimes gets depleted. Then what we also have is bacopa. And saffron, by the way, guys, you can get it in your food too. It doesn't have to be in a supplement. And you can get it in your food. Just make sure you cook it properly and all that stuff. Then we also have bacopa. Bacopa helps you get the memory retention and the focus, which gets lost. Okay. And that is super important in there, because a lot of times when people are anxious or they're depressed or something, I mean, that focus, that memory retention just gets bogged down because of the imbalance that's there. And bacopa really comes in and really helps with that. Then another one that I really like, and one of my favorite ones that a lot of people talk about, is ashwagandha. I'm sorry, we already mentioned that, is shilajit. Shilajit is a wonderful herb. It's a mineral pitch, actually. And what shilajit does is it takes the rest of the herbs and gathers them together and assimilates it into the body, so you get more of those herbs in there. Cool. So it's a mineral pitch that helps you assimilate and actually makes the other herbs more bioavailable, hence the whole grouping concept. And then what else is in there is L-theanine. As you know, L-theanine is really good for helping you calm down. Then we also have magnolia bark, which is also really good for brain support. We have mucuna in there. Mucuna purines are very essential, because mucuna purines actually get your body going into that nice dopamine phase that is healthy, actually a healthy dopamine phase, not like the unhealthy one. And then what we do is we round it off with a very high grade food, similar to food multivitamin. It's a delayed release multivitamin. Why is it a delayed release? Because most multivitamins, you'll take it and then you'll excuse my language, but you'll piss it out, right? But a delayed release is meaning more of the nutrition and nutrients are remaining in your body longer in the day. So it helps. Magnesium, the vitamin, all the B12s, everything is in there. The zinc, the proper stuff, the vitamins D, vitamin C, that's remaining in your body for longer periods of time to help with that. So that's also really, really good and interesting. But yeah, that's kind of what rounds out mood and really makes it a great formula. And with the combination, again, Ayurveda believes in combining the combination of the herbs plus the multivitamins. They work together to help not only support mood, it lifts mood, reduces stress, helps you calm down. But then at the end of the day, it also naturally supports your brain's ability to get back into that balance.
Yeah.
Which is probably what you felt, Krista, when you were taking it,
Yeah, I love it, honestly.
I'd love to talk about, going from mood, and you mentioned the gut being the second brain, and we've talked a lot about that and how important it is. So I never think it's, too much to talk about. I'd love to talk about the herbs, and even like, I don't know if you've experienced this, but like the lifestyle changes you've had to make in order to, service a really thriving microbiome.
Yeah, it's a great question. Ayurveda's famous quote is, when diet is right, medicine is of no use. When diet is right, medicine is only going to be the thing that helps you. Okay. And the interesting thing is Ayurveda is based on a prevention model. Majority of it is prevention, which means, hey, why get the disease in the first place? Disease is not just, the big ones like cancer and heart disease. Disease could be anything. Dis-ease. You're not ease. You're not comfortable. So it could be something as simple as what you were saying, Lindsey, is like stomach upset, bloating, other things like that. But what Ayurveda believes is strongly is that digestion, the digestive agni, is super important and critical to the overall health because of how important it is with having that second mind in the gut. And so much of the feel-good hormones, so much of the feel-good things are produced in the gut. That's why when you maybe eat certain things and you're like, oh man, I don't feel good. Well, it's interesting because not only do you not feel good in your gut, you're probably not feeling good in your mind as well. That's why you say, I don't feel good. Right? It's interesting, but then you learn to connect the mind to it too. Some of the changes that I made were I cut out dairy. Dairy was not very good to me. Anytime I do, I indulge in dairy a little bit because I like ice cream. I'm human. What can I do? I mean, but I pay for it. I pay for it. But I try to eat with my meats. I really don't do too many meats. I mean, on a weekly basis, maybe chicken and fish once a week. Majority of it is greens, and majority of it is vegetarian based. I will do more herbal teas instead of coffee, and my creamer will also be non-dairy as well. Other than that, I try not to eat past 7 p.m. because the digestive fire is heaviest and strongest between 12 and 2. During wherever you are in the world, 12 and 2, the sun's the highest too. That's with the sun being the highest, the digestive fire is the highest. So you'll absorb the food the quickest. You will most likely can get away with the biggest meal. That should be the biggest meal. You'll absorb it better. And after 7, the digestive fire just kind of goes. So anytime you eat past that, you're more likely going to disturb your bodies. You may not get the best sleep. You're going to add some weight to it. To your body, and then probably not digest the food like it should be because the digestive fire has been kind of decreased naturally. And so those are some of the things and changes that I made.
Yeah, the digestive fire is fascinating. Mm-hmm. That whole, that concept, because I remember this is kind of a silly example, but I remember thinking for a long time, like, oh, drink cold water because you'll burn more calories because you're trying to warm it up by your body. But then when I found Ayurveda, it was, drinking like room temperature water so that you don't put out your digestive fire.
Even more when you're eating and you some people just have the habit, right? They just need something. And I tell them, okay, if you don't want to quit cold turkey, sip warm water. So you could take a bite, but just sip, like a little sip. And then eventually you get it. It's okay. What happens is your saliva already has the perfect balance to break down the foods into the enzymes and everything else that you need to get it there. So when you put in water, when you're eating the food and you take in water, it flushes it all down. So realistically, the water is battling with that. That's why you don't really want to drink water right when you're eating, and you either want to do it a little bit before or a little bit after. And again, like you were saying, Krista, it should be room temperature and warm. So
I remember we heard that with Hannah Brumpman.
Yeah,
there was someone we had on the podcast, and we were like, "What's one of the tips that you learned being like a health influencer?" And she's like, no water 30 minutes before, no water 30 minutes after, no water during.
We're gonna do it.
And I was like, I'm going to do that for 3 weeks.
It is. It is. Really it becomes a habit, right? Yeah. What is the American culture, the standard American diet told us? I mean, let's go to the extreme. McDonald's, you get your fries, your burger, and what else? Your Coke.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? You're eating the fries, and you're sipping the soda. But I mean, it's become a habit, and honestly, I'm guilty of it sometimes. When I go out into the restaurants, I like the sparkling water, the Pellegrino with the lime, and my wife will look at me and be like, "See, you're doing it. I'm like, I know.
You're like, don't tell my team.
yeah. I'm like, don't let Krista and Lindsey know Lindsey know right now.
Yeah. I'd love to briefly just talk about the branches of Ayurveda so that people who don't know can become even more familiar.
Absolutely. So, I think if it may help to kind of give the overall kind of just the basic, to me, Ayurveda, so before the branches, Ayurveda is considered a 5,000-year-old science that was founded in India. And it's interesting when when I break down the word Ayurveda, so AYU, guys, is life, and VEDA is science or knowledge. So it's life science, life knowledge, right? I mean, even the word in itself is just, I mean, it's there to be explored and there to be lived by. So what are the 8 branches of Ayurveda? And it's really interesting that, I mean, all of these things make so much sense. And when I was kind of doing the research on it a little bit, it just fascinated me that Ayurveda has so many things in it that are all belonging to the 8 branches. But before, do you guys want to cover the doshas, or what do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The doshas would be great.
The doshas are like, what confuses me is you can be like some and then like changes. Like the changing confuses me.
Same.
Yeah. So the thing is, with the doshas, you're most likely born one dominant dosha. Okay, Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. And what the difference?
I'm Pitta. I've been told Pitta and Vata.
Yeah, I have a Kapha face, but I'm a Pitta.
That's good. I'm impressed. You're actually who did the did you guys get the consultations done, or did you guys have a guest on that kind of
I
did
did
that?
it. I went to Art of Living Retreat Center in Boone, North Carolina, and did it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's really good. I mean, that's basically, you guys did a really good job, because that is actually, somebody that, so the constitutions, basically what it is like I was saying, is Ayurveda bases things that we're all following 5 elements. We're air, ether is space, earth, fire, and water. We're a combination of all 5 to a varying amount, right? What happens is Ayurveda takes these 5 elements and puts them into the doshas. Doshas are basically different energies: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Vata is made up of the air energy, think air plus space. Pitta is made up of fire and water, and Kapha is more earthy. Which maybe at this point you guys are kind of like, that's interesting, because you can start connecting some of those things. Now, Krista, with you said you Pitta you had as well in you a little bit?
Yes.
Do you tend to, and you don't have to answer this if you want, but I'm a Pitta and sometimes it happens. Do you tend to hold on to things or get a little angry when easier than okay? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
That is definitely
Yes, I do. Fire, water, baby, that's me.
Exactly. And then some digestion will also impact you, right? Because sometimes you'll have too much of the digestive fire, especially in the summer seasons when you want to keep it more cooler.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the difference. And basically, I mean, you can be all 3 at any time, and you can also rotate through that. But what is interesting is you will always have one dominant constitution that'll help you in kind of really seeing, what you are, and that'll help build that personalized plan. So what are the 8 branches of Ayurveda? Now, I'm not going to say the Sanskrit names, because they're even hard for me to pronounce, and I don't think they'll be very beneficial. But if you think about it, 5,000 years ago, Ayurveda started putting different forms of medicine and the science into 8 different branches. What they did was general medicine. And what general medicine comprised of is basically describes the ailments of adults not treated by other branches of Ayurveda. General medicine, like think of your family physician. You go in there, you have something wrong, you got a cold, you got a flu. It's one of the subsects is general medicine. Then it also had pediatrics. I mean, with postnatal baby care, with children. And it was very specific that you do this and this to the kids because they're not ready, and they're not ready at that stage. You don't give them the following herbs either, or the following tinctures, because either their immune systems cannot take it, or their nervous systems will not be able to take it. So the intelligence is super there. Then they also had psychiatry, of course, dealing with the mental, because in Ayurveda, whatever you can tell the mind to do, the body follows. And that is a very important thing. I'll repeat that. Whatever you can tell the mind to do, the body follows, and the healing begins. Surgery was also one. And it was interesting. My dad tells me that it's crazy. I mean, I don't know where he finds this stuff, but he tells me that sometimes that they would do surgery and they would have like people that had amputated arms, and back then there's documentation that they would make like limbs, and people could gain function back then. I mean, wow. he's a research like buff, so I don't debate it.
They would make limbs. What do you mean?
Like, sorry, like they would attach like wooden things so people could regain the motor function that had lost maybe their forearm and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's documented in there. I mean, it's crazy, and that's 5,000 years ago. They would have performed cataract surgery. There's documents of that. So the eyes were also, done as well. Then there's also ENT is in there, ear, nose, and throat, toxicology. It's interesting because they wanted to make sure certain herbs. I mean, what we relate to now is certain herbs can be extreme aphrodisiacs and other things that, if not taken with the proper care, can also cause damage.
What's an
instead of
aphrodisiac
repair.
again?
Like mushrooms and other things that kind of alter the state of your mind.
Would that be a
everything
psychedelic,
like
or is it? That's
it's actually, yeah, psychedelics. Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
I meant psychedelics.
because
Yeah, so
aphrodisiac is like it actually increases your libido, right? That's what I
yes,
heard.
yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I apologize. Yes, psychedelic. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm thinking the other one. Yeah.
I mean, but
I
I'll
know.
take both.
I know. I was like, are
Yeah.
we?
I'm
having,
down for
are we having
both.
sex? Are we tripping?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what's
Yeah.
going
Sorry
on?
about
What's
that.
the
Yeah,
vibe?
I mixed up. I think psychedelic. So yeah, and they wanted to make sure that those were proper. And in toxicology, it's not just that they also wanted to have the intelligence. Like, if I'm giving you ashwagandha, is it ashwagandha grown in the right environment, the right season?
Yes.
Are you guys doing the testing to make sure that there's not heavy metals in the ground where somebody has put in that material that's not wild harvested, meaning it's not from Mother Nature? So that was also an important aspect. Rejuvenation therapy, massage therapy is huge. Panchakarma is huge. That's also one of the things. Panchakarma gets the physical body's energy, and it's really good for inflammation. It moves to marma points. And then, this is why. Okay. And then they also had, this is why aphrodisiac was in there. They also had aphrodisiac, Lindsey and Krista, treatment. And this branch deals with the increasing of, as you were saying, sexual vitality and efficiency.
Cool.
So it's in there as well. That's why I was like, I knew I saw it somewhere. So yeah. So those are kind of the 8 branches of Ayurveda. And an Ayurvedic practitioner we'll kind of go through certain things, and based on what you need and where you are in your life, we'll do it. And I think one of the other questions that you guys had was, what does an Ayurvedic consultation even look like, right? And I mean, I've seen it firsthand because I've seen my dad do it, and it's actually a very detailed and complex process. What will happen is my dad does it based on Ayurveda, and then also does it structurally, like based on the modern technology that he has. Because again, he believes as consciousness evolves, we have to use what's available to us if it can help the practitioner or if it can help the patient. So he starts off with taking a detailed history of the mental and emotional elements of what makes up a patient, because a lot of things start in the mind, and a lot of things sometimes are, deal with emotional level that can cause other things. He also likes to use lab tests, that blood tests, certain other things. Then he'll do a proper Ayurvedic consultation, which he'll examine your tongue, look at your nails, your skin, and he'll do a pulse diagnosis, which after doing a pulse diagnosis, he'll be able to tell you what constitution you are. I've seen my dad do a pulse diagnosis on somebody at a yoga conference and let them know that their kidney was removed.
Whoa.
And this person was floored. And she's like, how did you do that? He's like, well, when certain organs of the body are removed, the heartbeat, the blood flow, and other things, he goes, just by me doing it enough and intuitively, I can tell there's a difference in the rhythmic pattern.
Wow.
And he goes, it's if I were to teach you, it makes sense. The body is an energy being, right? So when certain organs may be taken out, it affects that normal, natural rhythm that I can feel, that I'm trained to feel. And so, I mean, it was amazing because she kept coming back. She's like, what else? And everything like that. So,
You get addicted.
I mean, yeah. And then once that is there, then an individual plan is created for that person for their mental, emotional, digestive issues, and specific herbs are assigned. He always puts in yoga, breathing exercises. Mother Nature is one of his treatments, physical exercise. But the most important thing is adjusting your diet, and really making sure to eat what's right for that person and eating what's in season, fruits and vegetables.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's powerful too, just like as pillars of Ayurveda, which is like eating what's in season, eating for your dosha, yoga. What was the other thing you said? Nature.
Meditation, nature.
Nature. Nothing better than Mother Nature therapy.
Yeah.
Truly.
I mean,
I was so interested when you were talking about the kids and like the right herbs for them, tinctures, etc. I'm curious, like what you've been doing with. Do you have one child? More than one child?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So I'm curious, like what that looks like for children. Because it sounds really fun.
So yeah, so
Psychedelic
there's
children.
no, not yet. So with children, because their immune system is building, and continues to build, kids will typically have one of three or one of two things that can really cause unrest for them. Their immune system, obviously, they get sick. Their immune they're around other kids, and it's actually good when they're playing in the dirt, but a lot of immune issues. They get colic, they get digestive issues, constipation, or the other side, which is just diarrhea. So a lot of times what we do is we have specific things like tinctures that are lighter than what we would have. So instead of having a standardized extract, maybe we are using certain things of turmeric or ginger. Ginger is like the grandma's tool, like passed down, and ginger in its liquid form mixed with a little bit of honey with hot water works wonders. It helps calm the stomach. It also helps the immune system. And then, of course, other things that we do as well. We believe in massaging the child with ghee and coconut butter, because it absorbs into the skin and really just helps loosen the child up. And of course, as much as you can get the child involved in having their hands dirty in dirt, going outside, getting that natural light as much as possible. That's honestly what it looks like. And then we try to have the diet be as natural to where the kid is as possible. We don't do the formula, and we don't do the other stuff that kind of that you can just get processed. It's much more whatever kind of we're eating, and as soon as he's ready for, our kid was ready for, it can bite and everything, then of course we kind of introduced him to food. Make sure the spices are we're just very neutral, because their digestive fire is not what ours is. It can't handle that. Sometimes it's just too much. Make sure that is there, and try to have not too bland, but kind of bland in a sense where they start to understand what they like, and then you can kind of add on a little bit, so easy on the salt, easy on the sugar, of course. My son loves fruits. I mean, he could eat a whole watermelon.
Oh.
I mean, he loves it. But yeah, that's the thing with kids, and every child is different. But it is important to realize that you have to be very careful about and don't think that, this is ashwagandha and it's a drop. There's very different forms. Like there's ashwagandha for kids that are specifically created, and the dosage and the strength is reduced a lot, because ashwagandha is powerful, and even triphala, that is good for digestive aid, and even amla and turmeric and curcumin.
Triphala.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I think that would be the biggest difference, Lindsey, is really that having, and I've seen much more in the tincture form, where I am tincture and liquid, because obviously, a 2-year-old is going to have the hardest time swallowing pills. I know our customers that we have don't like swallowing pills, so how can you imagine?
Do they call you?
Lindsey, don't you hate swallowing pills?
Oh no, I'm very good at it now.
Oh, everyone makes fun of me. I can do it without water.
Oh well, she does. Yeah, I think
really?
that's weird.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Doesn't get stuck, or you don't have that feeling of that's amazing.
I'm like a lizard.
You should be doing it with
right down.
make sure you do it with food though.
Yeah. Oh really?
And
okay. Tell me more about that.
I'll tell you why. Okay. Food will help you get it down in your esophagus, and then the nutrition in the food and the nutrition in the capsules will combine. So that's why it's called a supplement, right? It's going to be supplementing the diet you're already taking. So any of the deficiencies in your diet are going to be supplemented with that, and it's just better to combine it that way.
Is there any time of day? Do you recommend any time of day for supplements?
It varies what you're taking. Like mood, I love to take it in the morning just because it gets my day going and it helps me with the stress throughout the day. And then the digestion one, I like to take it in the evening just because it helps break down all the food I've eaten. And then I think we can share on the show. And the next morning you have a healthy bowel movement.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about.
Everybody needs
day.
Yeah, honestly.
Everybody needs a healthy bowel movement, honestly.
Everyone needs it. It's
yeah.
It
You feel
changes
awesome.
your whole day.
It does.
Right?
Like, and everyone's had that one that they're like, oh my God, I feel amazing.
Right? I was telling her, I'm like, man, I need to go to our colon hydrotherapy.
Yeah.
We haven't been in so long, and I'm feeling just like a little my bacteria is just like depressed bacteria, and I want it to get out.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? You know what's interesting is when you do go there and you really take care of your digestive health, have you guys noticed that intuitively you will not want to touch the junk food?
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything else just looks like stop, like that can't be good.
Yes.
And but there's your body's intelligence coming in. And it's up to you to listen to it, or up to you to be like, forget it. I'm going to grab the Doritos.
Yeah.
Right?
Is there something, am I thinking of this right, in Ayurveda about chewing your food? I have a problem where I don't chew my food very well. And I did have a colon hydrotherapy session. She was like, that is an entire piece of X. And I was like, lettuce. Oh my God.
It was like sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely, you got to chew your food, because there's a certain thing when you bite down, as the more you bite down, the more you're releasing more of the digestive enzymes, and all the saliva can go ahead and begin to take care of the food. If you just take it in one bite and it doesn't really get broken down, it's going to get stuck there, and you could be dealing with constipation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For the immunity, within the immunity pack, which I just got that one too, what are some of the herbs in the immunity pack that people should look out for, especially during this time?
Amla is a wonderful antioxidant. It's been compared to be more powerful than vitamin C. Andrographis paniculata, which is a very good antioxidant again, and it supports changing, like when you're going into different changing environments. It really helps your body get prepared for any outside invasion of what could compromise your immune system. And it's also immune boosting as well. We have a probiotic in there as well, because probiotics, healthy gut microflora helps boost the immune system on its own. And then we also have, I said the Shilajit is also in there, again, to act and function to help kind of get more of the Amla and Andrographis in there. So, I mean, it's a really nice blend. And with the immunity, what we've seen is that, I mean, before you begin to kind of realize that, okay, I could be coming down with something, or I'm just feeling a little off, that's the perfect time to begin taking it, because it'll really help boost up your immune system and really help you get going, and really kind of counteract and give you what is needed. Another thing that's in there is quercetin. So as you guys know, quercetin is also really helpful in boosting the immune system, and it's just a really good blend that's put together that is immune boosting. It helps with the changing environments, and it's antioxidant as well.
Wow.
Last question from me. I love your essential oils, and I was just curious about like aromatherapy as it relates to Ayurveda.
Yeah. So the sense of smell is a very powerful. Ayurveda also goes into the senses. It's very powerful because if you think about it, the sense of smell is connected directly to the mind, right? It goes and it impacts the front part of the mind that gets you kind of going, and in the mood elevation. So with the My Healthy Mood essential oil, as soon as you put it on at certain marma points, it really helps to begin to release those feel good hormones, and really helps you calm down. And what's really important is with the mind, as soon as it has a connection to the sense of smell. Now, let me just share with you guys what I'm thinking about. When you guys smell coffee, you can probably connect it to the morning or a certain brand, right? When you smell fries, you can do the same thing again. Cookies baking in the oven. So the sense of smell is also a psychological kind of thing that connects us to certain feelings and emotions, and which is why aromatherapy is super critical and can be very powerful as well. Now, the essential oils that we have is kind of different, because we use them on the marma points as well. There's marma points that run all over the body, and certain marma points help more. So digestion, there's certain different marma points of digestion with the essential oils that kind of really help balance out that stuff as well. With mood, we say right here, right close to the nose and in the temples, because that is really where you'll begin to release the stress and also help elevate the mood as well. And it provides a calming sensation, and it's just really good to kind of put it on over there. And the aromas will kind of create a calming sensation in your olfactory senses, and from there your mind.
The marma points are like meridians?
Yeah, similar.
Cool.
Very similar. Yeah.
So meridians is Chinese, and then marma is Indian. Okay.
Well, Indian, or I mean, it's one of the same things. There's different energetic points in your body that whether it's an acupuncturist, an Ayurvedic practitioner, even chiropractors use it, right? I mean, chiropractors are aware of it as well.
Wow.
So when they're doing certain manipulations, if a lot of chiropractors mix in acupuncture too, because it is so powerful.
Wow. Last question for me is about oil pulling. I want to talk about oil pulling as like an Ayurvedic practice and principle. Is that something that you do?
I actually don't do oil pulling. I haven't
Tisk,
done it in a
tisk.
while. I know. It's
Tisk.
basically what it is, and I think our good friend Sahara, she speaks about it pretty quite a lot. I mean, there's a lot of bacteria that's in the mouth, and it's interesting because it'll be used, and you kind of swish around certain oils. That's why it's called oil pulling. It'll pull out the bacteria, the bad thing, and usually when you're done with it, it's going to be a white foam, which indicates that you have ama. Ama is inflammation, and ama is the not good stuff that you're not taking in. Or a lot of stuff can be seen on your tongue, like a lot of stuff can be seen, like you're not digesting it, you have inflammation, or you're just not getting the right nutrients. And when you do that enough, it makes a huge difference, not only in your dental health, but also in your digestive health and other things as well. So oil pulling is interesting, but it is difficult for a lot of people to do it because you do have to swish it around for a little bit, and it doesn't always feel or taste good. It's it kind of becomes lumpy and clumpy. It just feels so. Try it out. I mean, there's so many things that and you can even make it at home. The recipe is not hard to do in the proper one. But I'm guilty of it. I don't do it as much as I should. I do the tongue scraping, and that is interesting to always discover what the heck is on there. And it's the goal is to have it clear, and that's tough.
I love a tongue scraper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps with sugar cravings, they say, to get
It does.
the bacteria off your tongue by tongue scraping.
Yep.
Yeah, the oil pulling, I usually do coconut oil, peppermint,
Oh.
and then you can mix it in together. And then if you want like another oil, but I just like coconut oil.
Yeah.
It's really good, actually. That's a good combination.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
Awesome.
you very much. Yeah, I love it though. It's been like, it makes my teeth white. It's really helped with my teeth whitening, like my overall teeth and gum health. So that's one of the principles that I really love. But oh my gosh, this was so good. I love that everyone is leaving with like very actionable tips and resources and understandings of herbs and the principles of Ayurveda. And yeah, I'm really excited for people to dig in. And as you guys know, we have a code with Ayurveda. It is almost 30% off, and you can get mood, which is my favorite. You can get immunity. You can get, what other ones do we have?
I mean, there's so many. Joints. I love the joint support. Y'all, my knees. I was like,
joints.
Yeah.
I was worried for a second, but it's truly helped. It's been incredible.
And then, I think there's mood, there's immunity, there's joints, there's body, and digestion. That's my favorite one.
Yeah. Oh, really? It's got the
I love that one.
in the digestion.
It's got Triphala, it's got probiotic, it's got an enzyme, it's got a beta glucan, it's got a multivitamin. It's got everything to have you poop the best. I mean, if I can say it for lack of better.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. It's got the fiber that's needed. It's got the enzyme to help you break down foods. It's got the probiotic for the healthy gut bacteria, and then it's got Triphala to help you make you regular. And then it's also got curcumin. Now, that was an interesting one for me to learn. I was like, why curcumin? Because your gut can get inflamed, and curcumin helps with the inflammation. So.
Yeah,
cool.
Master anti-inflammatory.
Yes.
So good.
Yes,
so how can people find Ayurveda
Absolutely.
and more about Ayurveda?
Absolutely. So you guys can go to our website, www.youveda.com. So once again, youveda.com. And just check out all the products there. You guys can use the code that's offered by Lindsey and Krista on all purchases. And then we also have a knowledge center, which has everything to do with Ayurveda. I mean, we got articles, we got yoga poses, we got meditations, we got videos, we got lectures. So everything that, if you're curious to learn more about the doshas, you're more interested to learn more about anything Ayurveda, it's check it out. We got an extensive knowledge center over there. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And of course, we'd love your guys' support and love to hear from you.
Love it.
So good.
You crushed it.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
joining
guys.
us.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate
We'll see you soon in Texas.
Yeah, we'll be in Texas.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Absolutely. Yeah. Are you guys okay with the 98, 96 degree weather?
Oh, I'm fine.
I'm cool with that.
I'm fine. I don't wear makeup anyway, so.
Yeah.
I'm totally
I don't know if you guys saw, my face is red because I'm out here and it's just a little hot.
Yeah,
so-
my friend said today too, she's like, are you cool with like bugs? I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what are bugs? We don't have bugs in California.
Yeah.
It's true.
They've moved too.
Oh. Well, be well. Love to
Thank
your
you,
family,
guys.
and we
Thank you
just
so much.
love working with you. So thank you.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you
you so
guys.
much.
Thank you guys.
We'll talk
Thank
to you
you so
later.
much.
See you
Take care, guys.
soon.
Thank you.